Good evening, you're watching Nation at 9. I am Gauri Dwivedi. Now, when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon in 1969, he had one thing to say. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. I begin by quoting Neil Armstrong because for far too long, we've known space through the eyes of the West. But that's soon changing, and for the best. The time isn't far when people across the world will be quoting our astronauts and scientists. For that's where India is headed. On 7th of September, India took that giant leap for mankind. What we've achieved is nothing short of praiseworthy. It's in fact fascinating when you study the circumstances under which we launched our first satellite, when two men with a team of enthusiasts put together the pieces in a church gallery, carried it on a bicycle. And so far, we've come from those days. Yes, there was a slight blip. We may not have achieved all that we wanted, but that's the beauty of science. There's only success and learning, and no failures. For India to reach so close to the moon in the very first attempt is a matter of great pride. So let's celebrate ISRO today. Let's celebrate our scientists. Let's celebrate their genius that's striving every day to make India the most cost-effective and efficient space power. As Prime Minister rightly said, we may have lost communication, but we haven't lost hope. This is just the beginning, and a beginning that's brought together 1.3 billion Indians in a way that hasn't been seen before. We felt together as a country in a very, very long time, this tension, this palpitation, as India waited with bated breath. And let's take a moment to celebrate this feeling of unity that ISRO has invoked. Those last moments, creating an energy so strong, it's a moment that will be marked in history. A new era of scientific temperament has been sparked in India across people of all ages. And that itself, if you ask me, is a huge achievement, one which will fuel our future aspirations. And tonight is a salute to the 16,000 men and women who worked on that one dream. We celebrate them, we salute them, and we hope that they will achieve greater heights. Salute to ISRO Chief Dr. Sivan, the son of a farmer who went to a Tamil medium school. From a hand-to-mouth existence, he's a man who rose and rose, and today is called India's Rocket Man. And over the course of the next 30 minutes, we'll be talking about what next for ISRO as India stands, as Indians stand completely behind its space agency. Let's quickly listen in to what Prime Minister Modi had to say earlier in the day, and then we throw this open to our panelists.
हमें पीछे मुड़कर निराश नहीं होना है, हमें सबक लेना है, सीखना है, आगे भी बढ़ते जाना है और लक्ष्य की प्राप्ति तक रुकना है। हम निश्चित रूप से सफल होंगे। हम मिशन के अगले प्रयास में भी और उसके बाद के हर प्रयास में भी कामयाबी हमारे साथ होगी। 21वीं सदी में भारत के सपनों और आकांक्षाओं को पूरा करने में हमें कोई भी खड़ी बाधा रोक नहीं सकती। आप सभी को आने वाले हर मिशन के लिए बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देता हूं।
All right. Let's open this up. K. Siddhartha with us on the broadcast. He's an earth scientist, a geostrategist, to talk more about where does ISRO go from here, where does our scientists go from here. Robindra Sachdev, international affairs expert, Mr. Deshratan Nigam, as well as Mr. Chetan Singh, political analyst with us on the broadcast. And in fact, Mr. Siddhartha, let me begin with you, sir. As a member of the scientific community, how proud the moment has been ever since, of course, we did, of course, get to know that there has been, the result was not what we had ideally wanted, not to the script, but nevertheless, a huge, huge step forward for India.
That's correct. See, when you're going to say that there has been anything of a failure, in science there is no such thing as failure at all. Largely because science is going to be all about experiments, and we have been saying it so. Now that is number one. Second is, so it has not been a failure, it has been an experiment. That experiment, the results of it has not 100% been in our favor. Second is, if you're going to take the steps and the technological upgradation that we went on to go through, First was the thrust, the amount of thrust that we had to generate from GSLV. Now that was a technological breakthrough. Then is orbiting of it was a technological breakthrough. The amount of load GSLV Mach 3 was able to carry, that was a technological breakthrough, a new one. The fourth was the orbiting of the whole of the Earth, and the orbit that we determined, that was a technological breakthrough. Then the lunar orbit transfer, that was a technological breakthrough. We went on to around on the moon, that was a technological breakthrough. The separation of lander from orbiter was a technological breakthrough. Then you going to take the trajectory of it, that was a technological breakthrough. And then it was only in the last moment that it was not so. But even if you consider, the orbiter is orbiting the moon in its polar orbit, not on the equatorial orbit. Now, what it means is, that is a very significant part. What it means is that while it goes on to orbit the whole of the moon in the polar sphere, the whole of the moon is going to be taking a turn from east to west. It's going to be rotating. Now that means that every inch of moon is going to be now having is going to be photographed with a 360-degree angle. That means it's going to be a stereoscopic and a 3D photograph of the moon that we are going to be having it. Now that is going to be an achievement. Moreover, we'll be able to take care of the X-rays emanating from the sun, from the orbiter. That is going to be a breakthrough. And moreover, since we have already formed a vision, that is, we are going to be checking the microseismicity, and we're going to take the plasma. All of this is a technological breakthrough. That means we have achieved, and we have achieved considerably. Moon has been a launching pad for us, and even if it is not that we have failed in this attempt, it's not that the mission has failed. It's only that an experiment has failed.
Yes.
Our Chandrayaan mission remains intact. Gaganyaan mission remains intact.
Exactly.
And the Mars mission remains intact.
Absolutely. Mr. Siddhartha, none of that really matters to the scientific community. They only want to better themselves, and they only want to achieve milestones and newer heights.
See, I'm going to put it in a different manner. Both of the gentlemen on the panel, Chetanji and other sir, both of them are correct. Now, see, if you have a prime minister who can go on to market and brand the achievements of ISRO in such a manner, in such a global manner, it's a wonderful thing. Because ultimately, ISRO's aim is going to be economic. And the more he brands it, the more economic gains we are going to be getting it.
Okay.
Now, having said that, it doesn't mean that someone has taken credit out of ISRO, right? So, fortunately, we have a prime minister who is able to brand anything in a much better manner than anyone can go on to do it. So, and no one has taken a credit away from it. The achievements of ISRO goes beyond technology. That is, it goes beyond technology in the sense that it has inculcated a sense of a scientific temper in the country. It has created a brand image of the scientists in the country, so that a good number of young people now want to join ISRO and want to become a space scientist. It has created a platform of a brand of ISRO which is much better than that of HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, because it is one of these those organizations that is completely debureaucratized, and still it has been able to earn so much amount of respectability and money in the whole of the world. It is also important that ISRO has been branded in a manner which is one autonomous institution, an institution without interference, and it goes on to show to the whole of India what an autonomous organization without any political and bureaucratic interference can go on to do. So everything is going to be good. There's nothing wrong in it.
Exactly. The panel discussion with the scientist on the panel, I'm going to end it with Mr. Siddhartha, because as I said, this is a day to be proud of our Indian scientific community and their contribution. Mr. Siddhartha, where does ISRO go from here?
We go on to go only forward. We go on to go into rocket science and real rocket science. Our Gaganyaan project is going to be on. Imagine when we started orbiting Mars, what China said, it said that is the pride of Asia. Now we have got a technology to build a lander, almost a lander, and we have a technology to build a rover with slight amount of modification. We are going to be, the next step is going to be Mars. Who knows, we are going to be going all the way to Saturn and Titan as well. Also going to think that we will be one of the first countries in the world to invite tourists because our space program is very, very cheap.
Yes.
It is the cheapest space program in the whole of the world.
Yes.
And you never know that tomorrow African satellites are going to be launched from India.
Yes.
Middle Eastern satellites are going to be launched from India.
Yes.
Because India can go on to launch them at such a cheap price.
Exactly.
And the defense offshoots of it can go on to be providing so much amount of security to the country that will be safe. Space
All right.
is the answer for almost everything. And space to us now is not a rocket science.
That's a fair point you made, sir. I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks much to our panelists.